do you see you?
Mm,
This part in transforming.
mhm,
Tell us a little bit about do you see you? What do you mean by that?
mm. Perfect segue to what you were just saying about how
Yeah.
most people only have, under one person in their life that they're close to. And what ends up happening is that we show up as someone we're not, as our representative and who we need to be. And it's impossible to have an authentic connection with another human being, whether it is a friend, a partner, your customers, your community online. It's impossible to show up and have a true, authentic connection unless you're showing up as who you truly are. And a lot of people are not showing up that way because they
Yeah.
believe these lies that I
Hmm.
need to please them in order to love me. If I stand out, I'll get kicked out. If I'm me, I won't be loved. I'm an imposter and not enough on my own. And they all have us showing up in these ways where we're disconnected from who we truly are. We
Mm.
no longer actually see who we truly are. And we're just trying to be who we think people need us to be. And we're lonelier than ever. And we're not having true, meaningful connections with people we can really trust. So this chapter, Do You See You, is all about, I open it with this story of how I was in a hotel in London, a brand new renovated hotel, and launching a cosmetics into the UK. And Selfridge is there, getting ready for this big launch, and the fire alarm goes off. And I'm like, we're used to fire alarms going off. It's usually a drill or something like that. And I remember calling down to the front desk. They're like, oh, it's nothing. Don't worry. I'm like, okay. And it kept going off, kept going off, kept going off. And called down again, eventually, several minutes later. And I'm just getting ready. And a good friend of mine was in the room with me, also getting ready for this big event. My husband had left and he was out getting a sandwich, and my assistant was in another room on the same floor. All of a sudden, I call down again, and the person answers the phone screaming at the front desk, "It's a fire! It's a fire! Get out! Get out!" And I remember this moment where I realized, like, where am I? Okay, I'm on the seventh floor. I went and looked out there. I'm like, it's too high to jump. I'm trying to figure out what to do. And I remember I go out the door of the hotel room, and I look down the hall and I see where the elevator banks are, and the whole floor is filled with smoke. The whole floor, like going up like 10 inches, 12 inches off the floor, filled with smoke. I had never seen anything like this. Like, this looked like a movie to me. And I remember uh, freaking out, first of all, but then I instantly went into survival mode, almost where I disassociated from my body completely. And I remember I went and grabbed my laptop, which I have no idea why I did that. I should have grabbed my shoes, but I grabbed my laptop. I got my friend, and I'm like, we need to get out now. And then I remember getting to the hallway and just going up and down the hallway. I could not go to the elevators, and there were no stairs. There was no stairs, and there was no fire escape we could see anywhere. There were elevator banks, and my guess is the stairs were on the other side. There was nowhere. And I just remember people screaming, running up and down the hall. My friend I was with, she froze completely. And I just went into this like disassociated state where I felt nothing, except I have to figure this out. And we got to the end of a hall, and there was a window, and I opened it, and I realized there was an outdoor scaffolding down the side of the building that was basically like this metal grate, kind of a fire escape. So I climb out barefoot. We all start climbing out, and we're kind of going down this metal grate, 7 flights. And we get to the very bottom of this construction rubble. We ended up in this construction rubble, barefoot, and just like got out to the street. And there was just, I don't know, thousands of onlookers watching the whole top of the Mandarin Oriental in London just on fire. It was newly renovated. And I got to the street, and it was at that moment I actually realized what was happening. And I came out of disassociation, and I just looked at my friend, and we both just started sobbing and just like grabbing each other because it was such a scary moment. And I talk about this story and how, in that particular moment, when I needed to figure out how to survive, disassociation was really helpful because normally I'm
Biologically
like,
useful. Yes.
yes. And normally I'm such an empath. And when someone is upset, I feel it deeply. And for whatever reason, in this moment, people were screaming all around me. And it did not, like, I was able to focus and go, how can I find an escape? Um, and my friend had a different response. She completely froze. And we all had different responses in the moment. But what I realized later was, while that was helpful then, most of us live our lives disassociated and
Yeah.
almost numb or numbing out in
Yeah.
things that sometimes we call badges of honor, like busyness or scrolling social or any of the other things. And a lot of us have gotten to a point where we're so disconnected from who we are that we don't even see who we are. And yet we're lonelier than ever. And so I go through this whole process of how to see yourself, um, and see your own beauty and your own power and your own enoughness. And I go through a lot of tools in that chapter on how to do that, because that is also the first step. And then how do you see another person, and how do we all collectively feel less alone and more enough?